Hi, this is Everett's Watercolors. Welcome to my classroom. And today I'm going to do a demo painting called Lilacs. And I'm going to use 3 different tools to do the painting. I'm going to use a natural sponge, my palette in a bottle dot spray, and also some stencil film. If you'd like to paint along with me, there's a downloadable link below in the comments. You can download a reference photograph and my design drawing. And it's on with Fun with Watercolors. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified of my next video. So let's go to my painting table and let's get started. I have my painting paper horizontal for a reason. I don't want to follow the photograph exactly. I'm going to work on the blue flower first, a little peacock blue. Mix up a nice puddle of color. And this is my natural sponge. I'm putting, get it wet, get it damp first before we use it on the paper. Look at that nice texture. Yes, that'll work well. And using a sponge with a watercolor. And then I find a location. I've done a drawing, my design drawing, so I know the location of where I want to put the paint. So I'm following my drawing design. I don't need to really look at the painting or picture itself. I'm just following my design. Now I'm moving ahead a little faster here so this demonstration you can see some of the results. I'm putting light touches and heavier touches. And here I just pull up the paper and have you take a close-up look. You see all the texture and the values of the color. Now, stencil film is something I want to demonstrate here. I'm going to find an area. This is a piece of stencil film I've used before in other painting, and they can be used over and over again for different areas. And I'm going to work on the pink flower. So I want to find a location that would suit that space. I'm going to follow my design that I drew on the paper and cover that up. And the stencil film will keep the paint from hitting the other parts of the painting. So it's like a masking technique by using the stencil film. And I use artist tape to hold down the stencil so it doesn't move around. And you can use a X-Acto knife or a pair of scissors to cut the stencil film, and the stencil film will last for a long time. You can use it over and over again. And here, tear off the tape. I see a little piece in my drawing of a leaf, so I want to mask that out with a piece of the tape. So here I'm using tape also as a masking technique. And I use other pieces of stencil film, an old piece of watercolor paper, just to cover up the rest of the area. You could use a towel or a cloth to do the same thing. And now I'm going to use the dot spray bottle with opera color. Go to my palette and I'll just shake it well. I'll go to my palette and do a little sample spray. That's the pattern I want to do. And I hold the bottle about 2 or 3 inches from the surface and lightly tap the top. The light tapping motion will give me that dot spray. now another spray bottle with just water in it. I hold that up a little bit higher, and that water will now go down and will disperse those dots and make it an interesting pattern. Now it's time to let this set and dry before we go to the next stage. Now the third flower in the middle there is a light color, it's a white color, but I'm going to use a little bit of green, green number 1. I'll make it a light value. I'm going to add in some other colors, a little bit of yellow ochre. A touch of cerulean blue. It'll be a variety of color. And lots of water. I want this particular value to be very light, so I'm adding extra water to dilute the paint. And with a round brush, I'm going to do strokes that would simulate the shadow pattern. Little areas that may be darker than other areas. So this is a white flower, so I'm really painting the shadow areas to give it a little texture and shape of that particular element. Even mixing a little bit of opera, just to give it a variety of color. Now with a darker color for the leaves, I'm going to mix up a darker green. Here I'm using a little bit of Peacock blue, a little cerulean. I'll mix that in with Hooker's green, which is a dark green. And the blue plus that green will give me a nice dark green value. Also, the leaves have a lighter color, so I'm going to use a lighter green. I'm mixing a little bit of yellow lemon and green number 1 to give me a nice light green mix. And I'm going to use 2 brushes. With a flat brush, I'll pick up the green. And I'll follow my design. I've got a design there of the leaf shape, and then on top of that green I'm going to add in the lighter color green. So I have 2 values of green. It gives me a light and a dark value on that particular shape. And I make sure the shapes are different sizes in different directions, so there's a variety of shapes and areas that are covered with that color. So I designed this to have a little variety of the leaf pattern. And the light and dark color gives you a variety of color along with the variety of shapes. So I have a variety of shape, sizes, a direction, and a change of color and value. Using a flat brush, using the edges of the flat brush in the corner, and then the tip of the round brush. The leaves are a little smaller at the top, so it'll take a little quicker time to do that. Okay, now I'm getting ready to paint the stems. So I'll mix up a little bit of burnt sienna, and I'll use the round brush for the burnt sienna. And up on the top I've got the green mix, which is the green colors I've already mixed in the previous leaves. But I'll use those also in the stems. And this is a liner brush that I'm using. The liner brush will give me a nice, sharp, beautiful line showing the stem. And I've got the stems marked in with pencil from my design sketch. And then on top of that green, I picked up a little bit of burnt sienna with the round brush to give me a variety of color with that green. So I have a green plus a brown variation of color. And here I make sure I have a different direction of the branches, different size, a different shape. And those branches will connect the shape of the leaves. The liner brush works very nicely for doing nice fine lines and nice sharp edges. I still got some details I want to add in here. Now in the flower itself there are shapes inside the flower, the darks and lights. And so I'm going to pick out an area and I'm going to add in some more color to darken some of those shapes. Now relate this to bricks on a house. That when you're painting a brick house, you don't have to paint all the bricks. You just paint a small area that shows the shape of the bricks, and then the rest of the bricks will be recognized by looking at that one shape. So here I'm picking out a small area and making some shapes by adding more color to give the impression of that particular shape of that flower. I'll mark a little bit more here in the blue. I think this is a more interesting shape down here. And I'm going to do little dots and dashes. You know, pick up a little bit of opera, work on the pink flower. Again, just a little touch and go here with the same shapes that I see, and not as much detail on this one. And the final flower is the white flower with the shadows, so I'm adding a little bit of shadow pattern into that. Again, just little dark areas, a little bit of color, a little variety, but that also define that flower shape a little bit. Even though it's a white flower, it'll still have little areas of dark, medium values, little dots and dashes. I really like the way that turned out. I'm satisfied. Lilacs. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified of my next painting and video. So see you in my next video.